Minigame Mixer is an upcoming Minecraft map which allows you to choose 2 minigames and blend them into a new one. The first release will be available for download on the 19th of June 2023, bringing 5 combinable minigames, 3 map themes and 3 item types. How did I manage to make all of these things? I'll tell you. The first devlog was about making the first 2 flexible minigames in 9 days. The second devlog was about finishing all of the minigame combinations. This devlog will be about the final things I had to add before the release of this map. So, let's talk about the map themes. In version 0.1 there are 3: Overworld, Nether and End. To make the Nether and End maps, I laid a few ground rules for myself. 1. I wasn't allowed to clone an overworld map to a nether map and just change the block theme. I know myself and I like making things like that easy for me. I want to come up with some new looks. That brings me to rule 2. Players should have a reason to switch map themes. You want some extra danger? Here's the nether map. You want to shoot end crystals? Here's the end map. My map themes shouldn't just look different, they should also play differently. With that in mind, I started building the nether maps. Being myself, I put way too much work in the nether maps. I am however very proud of what came out of it. I don't really like the spleef maps since they look a bit boring, but the rest of the maps turn out great. I was glad I didn't have to mind the limit of blocks I could use for the /clone command. 1.19.4 added a game rule which removes the 32,000 block limit. That's why my maps were able to be bigger and better. I wanted nearly every minigame to have its own nether biome, so Spleef became Nether Waste, Duels became Basalt Deltas, and Sniper Duels the Souls End Valley. Skywars and Creeper Tennis don't have their own biome, since Skywars has them all and Creeper Tennis isn't flexible. I tested every nether map with Vayman, who is one of the most frequent testers, and I'm very glad to have him for testing sessions like these. The end maps went much quicker. The nether maps took me around a month, but the end maps were done in 2 weeks. I saw the release of the map come closer, so my motivation was pretty high. Since the end doesn't really have any special biomes, I wanted to give the player another reason to use the end maps. I took a long walk and eventually came up with this. All flexible minigames must have some kind of specialty from the end integrated into the minigame. Spleef has shulker boxes which levitate you when you open them. Skywars has end gateways that teleport you to the middle island. Duels has quartz fruit instead of normal food, and Sniper Duels has end crystals. This makes for some more interesting gameplay, and it doesn't necessarily make the other map themes obsolete. There was another testing session with 4 people coming up, this time with Noah Nerd, Tigs and Liz. For this session, I wanted to have a few secrets done, along with the sessions feature. I really wanted Tigs and Liz to figure out how to use the map themselves. If I keep explaining how everything works, I'd never know if people discovering the map for themselves would understand everything. The sessions were somewhat hard to code. I mainly used armor stands, tags and the scoreboard operations command to make this work. Well, kind of. Ik heb mijn stats terug. Wat is dit? I fixed it eventually. It was very easy. So, the secrets. I've talked before about turning the map to sponge blocks and parrot spawning. This was when I actually added that. I had to make 2 lists for the sponge maps. One with blocks that would be replaced by regular sponge blocks be replaced by wet sponge blocks. Why is this a very hard sentence to say? With blocks that would be replaced One with blocks that would be replaced by regular sponge blocks and one with blocks that would be replaced by wet sponge blocks. That's the best I can do. The site was hilarious to look at, but wildly inconvenient with the spleef combination. The parrot secret took some time to think about because I didn't know how I wanted to implement this. But I worked on it and got it working in the end. Again, sort of. Yes, het is gelukt!
Eén hartje.
Uh-oh.
Just do it.
Oh, allemaal van de wereld af.
Okay.
I reduced the amount of parrot spawning from 20 per player to 10 per player. These secrets were 1 in 1,000, so they're pretty rare. Another thing I created were the secret options, which are options that further change how the game plays. I choose not to put them in the lobby because I think that might make the map too complicated. Testing with 4 people is so much fun. The map felt like its full potential was used, especially with Skywars. Combining all minigames with all the map types really added to the experience. When Liz first looked around, she was inspecting everything. Well, until she saw the surprise me sign. At that moment, her attention dropped and she quickly finished her look around. After that, she immediately pressed the mysterious surprise me button. Tigs joined half an hour later. They also had to figure out everything. Tigs went into full analysis mode and figured out pretty much everything from the get-go. They were also tempted to press surprise me but resisted the urge. I did find out that both of them wanted to try the ocean map, which won't be available until version 0.2. I removed the two signs not too long after this session, so players wouldn't get confused over this. Creeper Tennis was also one of the more eye-grabbing things in the map. All of this was good to know for the final steps in development. We did have a lot of fun playing the minigames. Especially Tigs. Tigs, ga naar onder. After all of this, I wanted to finally add the item types, which changes what kind of items you'll get in the chests or when the game starts. This took way longer than I anticipated, because I didn't account for the fact that I needed every single coordinate of chests, which I had to copy and paste into Visual Studio Code. This took me the entire day, aside from a few things I had to finish for school. At the end of the day, however, I did manage to not only finish the item types, but also a few extra secrets. I was able to test the game with Swexel for half an hour before he had to leave. I did find out that Knockback wasn't a good enchantment for duels, so I removed that. Not too long after, I got to test again with Samocroc. We hadn't tested since the end of the first devlog in February. That meant he missed most of the cool additions during development, but it was nice to have him test again, especially since he hadn't built anything outside the map. Testing went pretty well, until the end of the session when everything went wrong instantly. Oh nee, wat de heck?
Wat?
Wat is er aan de hand? I fixed the things the next day. I also made so that you can actually see that you've selected a minigame, map or item type, instead of the player being confused about it. Marijn and I tested the following day for like 20 minutes, which he thoroughly enjoyed because of the new item types. I'm very glad I added this, because this, once again, gives so much more possibilities. I was done. I was actually done with everything I wanted to add in this first version. This was a very strange feeling. Just a few more days, one more testing session, and it was done. Release is getting very close, but first, let's take a look at that final testing session. This testing session, which I played with New York and Noah, might be my favorite session of them all. Everything pretty much worked perfectly, which didn't happen a lot during the testing sessions. This time, we could finally focus on having fun, whilst filming everything I wanted to have in the trailer. New York and Noah helped me so much, doing what I needed them to do, yet still having a great time. I was flung around during Creeper Tennis, Noah was still the queen of Spleef, and New York constantly got blown up by TNT during duels. We played the majority of the evening, shooting the trailer, getting beautiful action shots for promotional images, and even having some time left to play around with secret settings, one of which is a secret chest, which adds fishing tridents, explosive bows, and some other things. In the end, I'm incredibly happy, having had 11 wonderful people testing the map with me for the past 4 months. Sammerkrok, Vayman, New York, Marijn, Nemagor, Noah Nerd, Jomp, Melkbaker, Tixby, Liz and Swexel. Without any one of them, the map would not be as good as it is today. Without every one of them, this map would not even exist. 56 suggestions have been made, of which 33 have been added or changed in the game, and 10 will be added in the future versions. The rest of these suggestions are minigames which might even be something for future maps. I still had to edit the trailer and make this very devlog on the day before the Patreon launch. That launch day for Patreon is today, so if you can't wait another week, check out my Patreon page and you'll be able to download Minigame Mixer version 0.1 if you pledge $2.50 per month or more. I made quite a few replays for the trailer, which I had to edit the next day in order to make the trailer as beautiful as it can be. I got multiple POVs and already created the music the Wednesday before using MuseScore 4. The trailer went to become something I love to watch and it got me excited for whatever's next for me. So, what is next for me? Well, I've already started updating my Datapacks to 1.20 and a new one will be released fairly soon called Portable Jukeboxes. I won't talk too much about it because there will be a massive devlog about it coming in the future. Anyways, that's it from me. You can already download version 0.1 over on Patreon, but you can also wait until Friday to download it in the Discord server, or until next Monday to download it over on Planet Minecraft. Anyways, thank you all and everyone who tested for being here with me, helping me stay motivated, giving suggestions and feedback, and so much more. I love every single one of you. Thank you, and goodbye.